So, what are some of the best dogs in your opinion that Bolio produced?
Bolio produced. Let me see. Bull Boy Bob was one of the best dogs. There were some litter mates to Bull Boy Bob that were real good too. He produced good dogs just about every breeding. I mean, I can't remember a breeding from Bolio where they weren't good dogs. Red Baby and the whole Red Baby litter were good dogs. I mean, not every single one of them, but the majority of them were real good dogs. So that's another litter. Let me see. Trying to think. It's been a long time, Since I three-quartered up on him a lot, and those dogs were real good. I bred him to his daughter, and I know one real good one. I bred him to his daughter, and then I took a daughter of that back to him, and there was a dog in there, Commander Whitehead. He was a fantastic dog, and he was 7/8 Bolio. And then I bred his sister to Bolio, but it was just going to sight, and there wasn't any puppies. I forget if they were born dead or if I didn't get any or what, but I already went 7/8, and that was about as tight as you can go. But what I did was I three-quartered him up different ways. I breed him, take the daughter of his back to him, where the bottom quarter was not related. Where a dog would be three-quarters Bolio and one type of blood, and then the other dog would be three-quarters Bolio and a little in different blood. And then I could breed them together, maintain 75% Bolio, but the bottom sides being unrelated, there's enough of a cross that they would work out. But there was one, Ramsey was one of those type-bred dogs. Ramsey and, God, it's been so many years now. Ramsey, Blockhead was another real good one. They were heavy Bolio. He just produced so many really good dogs. I know one. I bred him to a bitch called Sable that was from Maurice Carver, that was off of Ironhead, sire by Ironhead, and that produced some really good dogs. And then I took him back. I took a bitch out of that back to Bolio. So now it's three-quarters Bolio, and there was one called Eldospitz, and he was a really good dog that I kept. And some of these dogs I sold as puppies, and I just got word back that they were really good, but I don't remember the names that the guys called the dogs. But anyway, Eldospitz was a dog that I kept. It was three-quarters Bolio off of it was a daughter of Carver's Ironhead, and her name was Sable, and I bred her to Bolio, and then took a daughter of that back to Bolio. Trying to think of some more really good Bolio dogs. Anyway, I'm sort of having trouble remembering the names of the different dogs, but he just was a fantastic producing dog. There was a ton of good ones. I've just been away from the game so long that I can't recall them, But he produced a bunch. He was my favorite producing dog of all. I had other dogs that produced really well, but none of them as good as quite as good as Bolio.
How about Tombstone?
Yeah, Tombstone. He didn't live that long. When I got him from Mayfield, he had heartworms, and at that time, the treatment for heartworms was kind of iffy. a lot of times the treatments killed the dog. So I didn't treat him because I thought it might kill him. So I bred him to the good dogs that I had, and he produced real good. He produced 2 really good litters with Red Baby. That worked really well. And then same thing with Tombstone. I'm having a little trouble remembering. The Tonka dog was a real famous dog. He was one of that litter, and he in turn became a real good producer for me. And I think he made ROM, but the Tonka dog, he was sired by Tombstone off of Red Baby, and those were real good dogs. I forgot about one dog, the Catfish dog that belonged to Lou Lewis. She was bred to Bolio, and off of that breeding, there was some real good dogs, and the best, most famous one was the Grand Champion Hope bitch. So she was sired by Tombstone. I guess you couldn't say that I made that breeding because I owned Tombstone, but Lou Lewis owned the bitch. So I guess technically Lou Lewis would be the breeder. But anyway, that's a good litter that Tombstone sired, and he sired lots of them. Like I say, it's just hard to remember all the names.
Right.
When you've been away from the game for about 12 years and haven't even been thinking about it or anything, if I was still active in my yard, I could rattle them off to you. But at this point in time, I've forgotten the names of a lot of them. But Tombstone was a real good producer. I didn't consider him as good a producer as Bolio, but then I never considered any dog as good a producer. On average, on an average litter, how many good dogs you would get. I forgot about another really good litter from Bolio. He was bred to my Face bitch. That was Face was the first really quality dog that I owned, Fader and Face. I think I told you about that in the other interview. And Faith was heavy Klaus, and she had some Colby blood in her. And there were fantastic dogs in that litter. One of them was Chen Lang. Maloney said he was the best he'd ever seen. And Maloney's seen a lot of dogs. And then in that same litter, there was a little black dog that was fantastic that was stolen from me. Matter of fact, I'm glad I get a chance to get this out. Lou Lewis stole the dog. I found out years later he was supposed to be a friend of mine, but we kept the dog chained out in front of the porch, out front, and he was supposed to be a friend of mine, so he's coming by to visit me, and then he sees the dog and decides that he'd like to have him. He's a thief. He's a low-life, scummy thief, and he just decided that it was easy pickings because he could come out there, and if we caught him, he was supposed to be there anyway as my friend, unless we caught him with a dog in his arms. But at any rate, we were asleep, and he just bagged the dog. I didn't find this out till I was out of dogs, because I always wondered what happened to that dog, and it broke my heart. He was a fantastic dog, but God knows what happened to him after Lou Lewis got him. But anyway, all the dogs off of that litter, off the Face litter, the Face and Bolio. There was. I'll tell you another story. One of them was called Bertha. Indian Sonny traded me a dog for Bertha. I should have just kept Bertha because I already knew she was good. He traded me a 3/4 Bolio dog that he had in exchange for Bertha. And then later on, this Bertha was a hell of a bitch. He sold her to Bert Sarles. And Bert Sarles bred her, and that's the actual mother of the Blue Monday dog. Bert Charles just didn't want to give me credit, but I talked to some people. Blue Monday's mother is supposed to be a tan dog. Well, Bert is black. And I found out from some friends of mine that were also friends of Bert that had seen the pups and everything, and they weren't off of Crazy Mary too. That dog, Champion Blue Money, that's not the right breeding. The right breeding, I guess the male is probably correct, but he didn't breed her to Crazy Mary too. He bred her to the Bertha bitch, which she's a hell of a bitch, and that's just the way that Charles was. He just wouldn't. He wouldn't give anybody credit for anything, but that's the real mother. But anyway, every one of those dogs off of the Facebook litter, the Bolio, sired by Bolio and out of Face, they were all really, really good dogs. So that was one of the best litters. And of course, the ones that I kept, I used them for breeding as well when Bolio got too old. Or sometimes I might use them even when Bolio was still here. And I guess that's the main ones I can think of. Like I said, every litter he threw real good dogs, and I sold dogs to all parts of the world, because I tried to put out a good product, and every place I sold dogs, and I sold them to lots of places overseas. They always did well. They always gave a good account of themselves. So that's all the Bolio dogs I can think of right off the top of my head. But there was a lot of others. I'm sure I'm leaving out.
Mm-hmm.
I had the Grand Champion Hank dog, and he wasn't a bad producer, but he wasn't on a par with the studs I already had. So I sold him. He was easy to sell because he was a Grand Champion, and a lot of people really liked that bud. So I sold the Hank dog because he produced some good dogs for me, but he also produced some duds, and so I decided it'd be better off to take some money and sell them. But trying to think. The Homer dog. Homer was sired by El Dospitz, the 3/4 Bolio dog, and Homer was out of a pretty near pure Klaus bitch. It was off let me see. It was bred similar to Red Baby's mother. I forget the exact breeding because it wasn't my bitch. It belonged to a guy named Vince Romero, and but it was bred along real similar lines to Red Baby's mother. And so anyway, so they bred those bitch to the heavy Klaus bitch, and the dog went to a guy named Gene Wright down south, and I wanted the dog really bad, and I kept bothering him to sell me the dog, and he finally did. The dog was a small dog. He was only about a 30-pounder, a 31-pounder, and he was really a monstrous dog, so he went ahead and sold him to me, and he worked out really well. He produced a lot of good dogs for me, the Homer dog. He was undershot. He was undershot. He had huge teeth on him, and he bit like an alligator. But Homer was one of my favorite producing dogs.